Hi, everyone. Mike White here. Welcome to this week's blog post. It's incredible to me as it seems that these months keep whistling by. We're at the end of July, approaching August, and it's really intense to say the least what's happening in our industry. And I've been having a lot of conversations lately that have focused around a number of subjects like production opportunities, closings, dollar volume, loan sizes, loan products, timelines, and more importantly, the quality of the experience for our clients, our customers, our referral partners, and even ourselves and our teams. And I think it's important that in that whole range of topics that I brought up, that we pay attention to all of these are pieces of our production puzzle, our work life, if you will. And many loan officers look at production reports. And then I know every company uses them, or most companies use them, where they list loan officers and the number of transactions they closed and the dollar volumes, and they rank them accordingly. And I think far too often, loan officers look at this and get sometimes more than not disappointed about the specific numbers that are selected and how they're ranked. And for those who follow the numbers, it can be somewhat of a painful experience. And an example that I'm talking about, that I had a conversation with one of my clients, and it was really a challenge because their production had actually gone up. Their production had improved significantly year over year, and they were doing much better than they had the year before, but they had dropped in their company rankings a number of spots lower, and they really felt upset, to the point where people were going to see those numbers and watching their ranking drop and assume that this person wasn't very good at their job. And I think it's really important that we look at this and say, the numbers that any company puts out when it comes to quote unquote ranking, and even nationally, that there are organizations who quote unquote rank loan officers. And for years, I've told people a lot of that is nonsense. Going back to when they started ranking loan officers, there was always the game of people who had loan officers or production partners, or whatever you want, entire branches or companies funneling loan volume up through one name, and that person would take credit. And I remember one year talking with some fellow workers, and we looked at the numbers that were being posted at the top loan officer of the year, and did some fast calculations that this loan officer was literally doing a loan every 22 minutes during the course of the year. They did a loan every 22 minutes during the course of the year. Well, that loan officer must be the greatest thing since sliced bread. I don't know how they do it. I've never been able to see anybody be able to work like that, no vacation, no sleep. So we all know that we have, our originations are not all the same. The companies aren't the same. The locations aren't the same. The circumstances aren't the same. The quality of the borrower, the loan program, they're certainly not all the same. And it becomes really important and troublesome when loan officers themselves don't take a look, because it comes down to some simple math. If a loan officer is an average loan officer who does 5 or less loans a month, and they add a couple of they add 5 more loans in a month, they've doubled their business. You take a loan officer who averages 15 units a month, and they add 5 units. They've added the same 5 units, but they've only improved their business 33%. Well, who had the bigger gain? Well, they both improved by 5 units. But it was a much bigger deal for the loan officer who traditionally does 5 units a month to double their production. And I think it's really important that we take into account not only, the argument between units and loan size and dollar volume. I've always been a unit tracker because the reality of it is the unit is what takes the time. It really doesn't matter, whether it's an $80,000 loan or an $800,000 loan. The mechanics behind doing the loan are fairly similar. The opportunities for things to go wrong, sideways, whatever. On average, doing a loan is doing a loan. And so whether it's you're working a lot of units at the lower dollar volumes, and that's possible because there are a lot more $80,000 loans or lower end houses than there are, $800,000 loans available. But the point is, you can't get wrapped up in seeing somebody do a certain percentage of business, a certain amount of units, or a certain dollar volume, because not only do you not know, what their circumstance, you don't know the size of their team, the number of people that are funneling business to them, what the relationship is on getting those deals. When, you're working, and I know loan officers, and they work for, either with, builders or things like that. And you're working with a construction company on new construction. And the construction company has a thing that everybody that goes to buy the house has to go through this particular lender. Well, you're going to close as many loans as the builder builds houses that he can sell. So it's not that you're not doing that work, but you're not having to do a whole hell of a lot to generate that sales funnel. On the other side of the coin, right, there are people who have to spend significantly more time generating and maintaining relationships. And again, it comes back to also the number of hours a week that you're working, lifestyle, what you do for yourself, and quite frankly, how much you really want to do. Because I can't think of many loan originators out there who are not unhappy doing 10 to 15 loans a month by themselves and working a 40-hour work week. Now, you may want to work a 60-hour work week. You may want to do more than that. You may want to build a team. But I can't think of any market that I'm aware of or any compensation system that I've seen where if you were closing 10 to 15 loans a month in 40 hours a week, that you weren't making a very good income for your market. So think about that. All dollar volume, all unit volume, not necessarily equally comparable. And that's why I want, especially loan officers and their managers, to keep in mind. I like tracking loan officers by personal bests. I know a company where, it's a very large company. The CEO is very engaged and they have all kinds of tracking systems. And you know what? Anytime anybody has a personal best, whether it be dollar volume or units or a big improvement from, over time or a shift, that CEO sends out an email and sometimes picks up the phone and calls them to congratulate them on having a great month with all the other things that are going on. Why? Because, I learned something from a good friend of mine way back, when it came to management. The attaboys, the congratulations, the great jobs, those conversations between managers and originators or their team members doesn't get said enough. And everybody's under a lot of stress. Everybody's under a lot of pressure. We're seeing record loan volumes and we're all trying to manage it. And I think everybody's stepping back and taking time and composing themselves when they're looking at numbers before you get upset, and realize how fortunate we are to be in this business, to have these opportunities. Compare yourself to yourself. Start with looking at your business, what you're doing, the time you're spending, not only at work, but with your family and with and by yourself, doing the things you want to do, and understand that each one of these things has significant value. It's not always about the units. It's not always about the money. It's about the balance of these things. And are you really happy doing the things you do? And if you want to roll up your sleeves and you want to tell your family, hey, this may be the greatest opportunity in mortgage history, I'm going to take advantage of it. So I'm going to be working a lot of hours every day for the next 6 months or a year or whatever it is. But at the end of that, we're going to have enough money so that, everybody gets to go to college, or we're paying off the house or whatever. That's fine. But don't get upset when your numbers are improving and they may not be improving as fast as somebody else's units or dollar volume, because you don't know what they're doing or the complete picture of all the numbers. And in many cases, some of those loan officers who are doing less are netting out more money because they're not paying for leads, or they're not paying huge teams, or they're maybe working under a completely different compensation plan that you. So don't be so quick to judge. So think about what your process is. Think about where it is you want to go, create the plan. And if you need any help building out the plan and managing your business, the size and scope, if it's not where you want it to be and you want to take a direction, it's really simple. It starts with an email, mike@imtcoaching.com. I'd love to help, and we'll talk to you again next week. Take care.